Listen carefully, because sometimes the people who once overlooked you become uncomfortable the moment you finally stop abandoning yourself for their approval. And the strange part is they often do not understand why your energy feels different now. They just know something changed. Think about that for a moment, because healing changes people quietly, not always loudly, not always dramatically, but deeply, internally, spiritually, emotionally. And the version of you that finally finds peace no longer moves through life the same way the wounded version once did. There was a woman named Maya, and for most of her life, Maya carried an invisible exhaustion inside her spirit. The exhaustion of constantly trying to be enough for everyone around her, enough emotionally, enough physically, enough mentally, enough financially, enough spiritually, and no matter how much she gave to people, it somehow never felt like it was enough to finally receive the love and understanding she needed in return. Let that sit with you, because many emotionally deep people spend years overgiving quietly while secretly starving for the same emotional care they freely give everyone else. And Maya became so accustomed to putting everyone before herself that eventually she stopped recognizing her own needs completely. She became the listener, the helper, the understanding one, the forgiving one, the emotionally available one, while carrying pain silently behind closed doors where nobody else could fully see it. And over time, that emotional survival mode slowly disconnected her from herself internally. Think about that, because sometimes people become so focused on keeping others emotionally comfortable that they forget they deserve peace too. And Maya did not realize how deeply exhausted she truly was until one night she sat alone in complete silence after another painful disappointment, staring into darkness while tears quietly rolled down her face. And for the first time, she stopped asking herself why people failed to love her properly and started asking a different question entirely. Why do I keep abandoning myself, trying to earn love from people unwilling to give it fully? Let that sit with you, because healing often begins the moment people stop blaming themselves for not receiving what emotionally unavailable people were never capable of giving in the first place. And that realization changed something inside Maya deeply, because for years she believed her worth depended on how much she could give, how much she could tolerate, how much pain she could survive quietly without becoming difficult for others emotionally. But now she was beginning to understand something powerful. Love should not require self-abandonment to maintain. And slowly Maya started changing in ways even she did not fully notice at first. She became quieter, calmer, more protective of her peace. She stopped explaining herself endlessly to people committed to misunderstanding her, stopped chasing validation from emotionally unavailable people, stopped shrinking herself to fit into relationships and environments that required her to betray her own spirit just to remain accepted there. And maybe someone listening tonight understands exactly what that transformation feels like, because healing often creates distance between who you once were and who you are becoming now. And that distance can feel lonely before it finally feels peaceful. One evening, Maya sat outside alone, watching the sky slowly darken, while cold wind moved softly around her. And for the first time in years, she noticed how different silence felt now. Silence no longer felt empty. Silence felt safe, calming, healing, and within that silence she began hearing herself clearly again, beneath all the emotional noise she spent years drowning inside. Think about that for a moment. because many people spend so much time emotionally consumed by other people's opinions, moods, expectations, and chaos that they lose connection with their own inner voice completely. But healing reconnects people back to themselves slowly, and once someone reconnects with themselves deeply enough, they stop tolerating things that once destroyed their peace unconsciously. And Maya understood that now more than ever, because situations that once felt normal now felt emotionally draining. Conversations that once felt acceptable now felt heavy. Relationships that once felt necessary now felt exhausting. And for the first time, she stopped ignoring her intuition simply to avoid disappointing others emotionally. Let that sit with you, because one of the strongest things a person can do is finally choose peace over the fear of losing people who only loved the version of them that lacked boundaries. And the deeper Maya went into healing, the more she realized something painful but freeing at the same time. Many people were comfortable with her only when she lacked self-worth, because the healed version of her no longer over-explained herself, no longer begged for emotional consistency, no longer chased people who gave mixed signals, no longer accepted breadcrumbs while pretending it was enough. And healing changed her energy so deeply that some people could feel the difference even if they could not explain it clearly. And maybe that is why healing sometimes makes people uncomfortable, because growth forces others to confront the version of you they benefited from emotionally before you changed. Think about that, because some people become upset not when you become worse, but when you become unavailable for manipulation, emotional neglect, inconsistency, and disrespect. And Maya no longer felt guilty for protecting her peace now, because after years of emotional exhaustion, she finally understood peace was not selfish. Peace was necessary. One morning before sunrise, Maya sat quietly drinking coffee while the world outside still felt asleep. And while sitting there, she suddenly realized something that brought tears into her eyes. She had spent most of her life trying to become lovable enough for people emotionally incapable of appreciating her spirit properly. And now, for the first time, she no longer felt desperate to prove her worth to anyone. Think about that for a moment, because there is something deeply powerful about the moment a person stops chasing external validation and finally reconnects with their own value internally. And from that point forward, Maya carried herself differently, not arrogantly, not coldly, but peacefully grounded, emotionally aware, because healing had taught her that calmness is not weakness, boundaries are not cruelty, and protecting your spirit is not selfishness. And maybe someone listening tonight needs to hear that too. Maybe you changed because pain changed you. Maybe silence changed you. Maybe heartbreak forced you to reconnect with yourself after years of emotional survival disconnected you from who you truly were. And maybe the people around you notice the difference now, because the healed version of you no longer moves from desperation, fear, and emotional emptiness the same way the wounded version once did. And perhaps that is the hidden transformation most people never expect. Healing does not only change how people feel internally, it changes their entire energy externally too. The way they speak, the way they respond, the way they protect their peace, the way they stop begging for love that requires self-betrayal to maintain. And Maya understood now that becoming emotionally whole was never about becoming perfect. It was about finally becoming honest with herself after years of abandoning herself emotionally for the comfort of others. And perhaps tonight this message is reaching someone who needed this reminder deeply. someone exhausted. From overgiving, over-explaining, over-loving, overthinking. And maybe your next chapter begins the moment you stop shrinking yourself emotionally, just to remain accepted by people incapable of loving you fully, because the healed version of you was never meant to stay trapped inside survival mode forever. And the deeper Maya went into that healing, the more she realized how much of her old life had been built around emotional survival instead of genuine peace, because for years she believed love meant sacrificing herself quietly, tolerating emotional inconsistency, staying available for people who disappeared whenever things became difficult, and carrying the emotional weight of relationships almost entirely by herself. Think about that for a moment, because many people confuse emotional endurance with love simply because pain became familiar to them early in life, and when pain becomes familiar, people often continue choosing relationships that recreate the same emotional exhaustion they secretly hope to escape. And Maya understood that now more clearly than ever, because once she finally slowed down long enough to observe herself honestly, she realized she had spent years trying to earn reassurance from people who only offered temporary attention instead of stable love, and temporary attention can feel intoxicating to emotionally wounded people, because inconsistency creates emotional addiction. Let that sit with you, because many people are not addicted to love itself. They are addicted to the emotional highs and lows created by uncertainty, and uncertainty keeps emotionally exhausted people trapped in cycles of overthinking, anxiety, and emotional chasing. But healing changes that slowly, because healing teaches people to stop romanticizing emotional instability as passion. And Maya was beginning to understand the difference now. She no longer wanted relationships that constantly left her questioning her worth, questioning her place in someone's life, questioning whether she mattered enough to receive consistency. Naturally, because peace had started becoming more attractive to her than emotional chaos. And maybe someone listening tonight understands that feeling too. The feeling of becoming tired of emotionally surviving relationships instead of actually feeling safe within them. One evening, Maya sat quietly in her apartment while rain tapped softly against the windows. And while looking around the silence, she suddenly realized something painful. She had spent years being emotionally available for people who were never emotionally available for her in return. And that realization hurt deeply, because she finally saw how much energy she had poured into trying to save connections that continuously drained her spirit instead of nourishing it. Think about that, because emotionally aware people often become caretakers in relationships unconsciously, constantly understanding others while remaining deeply misunderstood themselves. And over time, that imbalance creates invisible exhaustion that slowly disconnects people from joy, softness, and even from themselves. But Maya was no longer willing to carry relationships entirely on her own emotionally anymore, because healing had begun teaching her something powerful. Mutual love should feel safe, not confusing. And once someone experiences emotional peace within themselves, they stop settling for people who constantly disturb it. And the more Maya protected her peace, the more she noticed certain people becoming uncomfortable around her, because boundaries reveal who benefited from your lack of them. Let that sit with you, because some people become upset the moment they can no longer emotionally control someone who finally learned their worth. And Maya no longer apologized for choosing herself now. She no longer felt guilty for stepping away from emotionally draining conversations, no longer felt obligated to remain available for people who only reached out when convenient for them emotionally, no longer felt responsible for fixing people unwilling to heal themselves. And maybe that transformation was what made her energy feel different to others now, because healing changes the way people carry themselves. There is a quiet confidence that begins developing once someone stops seeking permission to protect their peace. And Maya could feel that confidence growing slowly within her. Not loud confidence, not arrogance, but grounded emotional security, the kind built through surviving pain and finally choosing yourself afterward. One morning, Maya went for a walk just after sunrise while the streets were still mostly empty. And while breathing in the cold morning air, she noticed something she had not felt in years: emotional lightness. And it almost startled her because she had become so accustomed to carrying emotional heaviness that peace once felt unfamiliar to her. Think about that for a moment, because many people become so used to emotional stress that calmness feels strange when it finally enters their life. But healing slowly retrains the nervous system to stop expecting chaos constantly. And little by little, Maya's entire relationship with herself began changing. She started speaking to herself more gently internally, stopped blaming herself for other people's emotional immaturity, stopped replaying painful memories endlessly, searching for ways she could have been more lovable, because she was finally beginning to understand something life-changing. The inability of others to love properly was never proof she lacked worth. And perhaps someone listening tonight needs to hear that deeply, because emotionally wounded people often internalize rejection as proof they are unworthy, instead of recognizing that some people simply lack the emotional depth required to love them properly. And Maya understood now why she always felt exhausted around certain people, because she spent years trying to receive emotional nourishment from emotionally unavailable sources. And no matter how deeply someone loves, they cannot force emotionally disconnected people to suddenly become capable of giving what they themselves have never healed within. And that realization freed her in ways she never expected, because once she stopped trying to force emotional reciprocity from unavailable people, she finally had space to pour energy back into herself instead. And slowly she began rediscovering parts of herself that pain once buried. Creativity returned, joy returned, softness returned. Even laughter felt different now, because it no longer came from temporary distraction, but from genuine emotional release. And maybe that is what healing truly is. Not becoming someone entirely new, but returning to the version of yourself that existed before pain convinced you to abandon your own spirit. And one afternoon, Maya visited a cafe she used to sit in years earlier, during one of the hardest seasons of her life. And while sitting there quietly, she remembered the version of herself who once cried silently in that exact same corner, wondering why she never felt enough for the people she loved. And tears filled her eyes because she realized how much she had changed since then. Not outwardly, but internally, emotionally, spiritually, because the woman sitting there now no longer begged to be chosen by people incapable of recognizing her value. Think about that, because one of the most powerful moments in healing is when someone finally realizes they no longer need to convince others to love them correctly. And from that realization, peace begins growing naturally. Maya understood now why silence became sacred to her, too. because silence allowed her to hear herself clearly again beneath all the noise of other people's expectations and emotional projections. And perhaps that is why healing often requires solitude for a season, because solitude removes distractions and forces people to reconnect inwardly before they can truly experience peace externally. And although loneliness once terrified Maya deeply, she no longer feared it the same way now, because loneliness had taught her how to stop abandoning herself emotionally. And once someone truly reconnects with themselves, they stop chasing temporary connections that require self-sacrifice to maintain. And maybe someone listening tonight is entering that exact season now, a season where your old life no longer fits who you are becoming, where emotional chaos feels heavier than before, where your spirit craves peace more than validation. And perhaps you are not falling apart. Perhaps you are finally becoming honest with yourself after years of emotional survival kept you disconnected from your own truth. Because healing changes people quietly, deeply, permanently, and the healed version of you no longer fears losing connections that cost you your peace to keep. And Maya understood now more than ever that protecting her peace was never selfish. It was the first real act of self-love she had given herself in years, and perhaps tonight this message is reminding someone else to stop shrinking themselves emotionally just to remain accepted by people who only loved the version of them that lacked boundaries. Because the version of you that finally chooses peace may feel unfamiliar at first, but that version is often the beginning of who you were always meant to become all along. And if this message connected with you tonight, if somewhere deep inside these words made you feel seen, understood, or reminded you of your own worth again, then thank you for being part of the Voice Without Ego journey. Thank you for growing, healing, reflecting, and evolving alongside this community, because this channel exists for people learning how to reconnect with themselves emotionally after years of feeling lost inside pain, people trying to protect their peace, rediscover their value, and heal quietly in a world that constantly teaches people to abandon themselves for acceptance. So if you enjoy conversations like this, make sure you like the video, comment your thoughts below, subscribe to Voice Without Ego, and come back for more, because there is so much more ahead, more healing conversations, more emotional truth, more peace, and more reminders that sometimes the version of you they never expected becomes the version of you that finally saves yourself.